This is day one of teaching all your multiplication strategies in just 5 days. And so I'd start by showing my students this multiplication strategies poster and saying, on this poster, I have a different strategy for each of our multiplication facts all the way up to times by 10. And so over the next week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be really looking at these strategies, breaking them down, understanding them, practicing them so that it doesn't matter what multiplication question we get, we've got a strategy to help us solve it. And that the crazy thing about this is, over the course of the week, you'll realize that nearly all of our multiplication facts can be solved and boiled down just to a few little strategies that we need to practice. So to start with, let's get the first two really easy ones out of the way. Anything times by 0, the answer is always 0. Now, the reason the answer is always 0 because it doesn't matter how many groups I've got. If I've got 4 groups like I do here, 3 groups, if I've got nothing in any of those groups, I've still got nothing. Or I might have a 4, but if I've got it 0 times, I've still got 0 4s. And so it's at this point where I'd introduce our multiplication strategy chart sheet, where we're going to be recording our strategies on there and filling up our 10 by 10 grid. The next strategy is pretty easy too. Anything multiplied by 1, the answer is always itself. So for example, 5 times 1, I've just got 1 5. So the answer is 5. 1 times 6, the answer is 6. So now that we've got the first two really easy ones out of the way, now it's time to focus on the main strategy we're going to be practicing today, which is doubling. So we're going to be starting with times 2. So anything that's multiplied by 2, we just know we need to double it. If I've got 4 times 2, I'm just going to double 4 and I'll get 8. Or whether it's 9 times 2 or 2 times 9, I'm just going to double my 9 to get 18. Now at this point, after you've modelled and showed how the doubling works, give every student a 0 to 9 sided dice and then send them off to practice. So they simply take their dice, off they go, they roll it and practice doubling it by 2. Now, the great thing about this is it's super easier to differentiate because you might have some really strong kids in your class, and so you can just simply give them 2 dice. They're still practicing our doubling strategy, but they can roll a 2-digit number. So 42, I just got to double it. 42 times 2, 84. It's up to you whether you just want them to work on the fluency doing this mentally or whether you want them to write the number sentences down. After their practice of doubling and once they've filled out their sheet, you're going to bring them back to the floor and now you're going to introduce the times 3 strategy. And you're going to show how it's really connected to what we've just done. So for times 3, we're going to double our number and then just add one more group. So we're still going to be building on the skill we practiced a moment ago, but now just go through the extra step of adding an extra group. So if I wanted 3 groups of 4, I'm first going to double my 4 to get 8, and then I'm just going to add one extra group of 4 to get to 12. Or for 3 times 5, double 5, get to 10, and then add one more group of 5 to get to 15. So then again, after you've shown them some examples of what's happening with those groups, how you're doubling and adding one more, send them back off to roll their dice, and this time they're practicing multiplying by 3 every dice roll. And so same as before, once they've had a good crack practicing with the double and add one more group, we're going to introduce our last strategy we're covering on the first day, and that is our times 4. Because again, it's all connected to our same initial doubling strategy, but this time, to get 4 groups, we're going to double it and double it again. So for example, if it was 4 times 6, I would double my 6 to get to 12, and then I would double my 12 to get my 4 groups of 6, 24. So again, really showing your students why that double-double strategy actually helps us to get 4 groups. So for example, if I double my 5 here, I get 2 groups of 5, so I get 10. And then if I take that whole new total and double it, I'm going to get to 4 groups, and in this case have 20. So you can really see just after day 1 how much ground we've actually covered, simply by just knowing those first 2 easy strategies, anything by 0, 0, anything times 1 as itself, and then just how knowing our doubles and practicing our doubles can really help wipe out a whole lot of the multiplication table.